This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hello, everybody. This is the Dog Savant Podcast. I am Brett Endies. I'm your host. We're at episode 28. Today I'm going to do a talk about some Q&A. I have a website pulled up where it lists some of the common dog behavior problems that owners struggle with, and I want to go through their questions that they're getting, and I can give you my version of answers too, and then maybe interject on the answers they're giving, because there's more than one way to skin a cat or train a dog, right? But it just has to be always understanding why dogs do what they do and dealing with the root cause of it, not just dealing with the surface-based issues or our emotional interpretation of what's going on or how to deal with it, which tends to lead dogs down a bad path. Anyway, I'll get more into that. But with our episode, the podcast, okay, there's been a few more listeners. That's great. I want more people to subscribe, rate, share the podcast on iTunes. We also have a YouTube version. If you go to youtube.com/dogtrainingla and my website, dogtrainingla.com, you can connect to any of my media there. I have a Facebook page, Instagram, all that. And just keep passing this on to other people. I want to help as many dog owners as possible. Give the information that's helping dog owners in the real world when I'm working with them. I've been a severe problem behavior specialist for over at least 25 years now, if not more. And I have a show called The Untrainables. We just finished up our first season. That's on Facebook Watch. And I just want to take care of that business, get it out of the way, just make sure, because we have to get more people watching this, listening to this, sharing it, so that we can grow, a base of conscious dog owners who are coming together as a community, and then it's going to help me be able to create more, vehicles for you. We can create more on the website. We can create a message board, more workshops, seminars, blah, blah, blah. So keep doing that, guys. I really appreciate your support. And speaking of support, I have a sponsor, wildzorafoods.com. If you go on their website and you subscribe, when you check out, rather, you put in the code THEDOGSAVANT, THEDOGSAVANT, and you'll get 20% off your first order. What are they? Wild Zora Foods is a paleo-friendly, freeze-dried, I guess primarily it's made for backpacking or prepping or just convenience. I use them on the go. You add hot water, you have a great healthy meal, and they also have bars and drinks and all types of other stuff. So check out their website, wildzorafoods.com. And if you're anyone else interested in sponsoring our show, if it's something that I believe in, I use, or I try and I think is great, I would love to work with you. Okay, I got that out of the way. Let's do this. So, and maybe at the end we'll talk about some other stuff. So here we go. So we're going to talk about, it is the 10 common dog behavior problems. And I have no prior knowledge of what this place is. I did a Google search earlier. I came up with, dog behavior problem questions, and this one seemed to just kind of rattle through some of your most common ones that I know I see. And I just want to talk about it. And I'll just read it verbatim. Why not? I'll even give them a shout out. It's thesprucepets.com, like spruce tree, thesprucepets.com. And I don't know. I haven't really seen more than just this one page. So let's see. Number one, barking. Most dogs bark, howl, and whine to some degree. Excessive barking is considered a behavior problem. Before you can correct barking, determine why your dog is vocalizing in the first place. These are the most common types of barking. So far, spot on point. Warning or alert, playful or excitement, attention seeking, anxiety, boredom, responding to other dogs. Sure, it's usually a reaction to stimuli, and in some cases it's like, well, we're not trying to stop your dog from barking completely. That's why I don't like no bark collars if they just make a dog wear it all day, because in the right context, the dog should express themselves. They just shouldn't be over-expressing where the context is lost by the dog because of over-responsibility or more, where the dog just can't help but be put in a position where they have to overreact in their barking to things passing by or people coming and going around the house, right? So what we have to do for the dogs is create this order in their life that would make them not have to over-express. So with that said, I don't want to get too into it. I want to still read in here, but it really is, again, the root cause is what we're looking to go for. Because if a dog is barking like once or twice when the bell rings and then comes and gets you to let you know there's someone there and then checks and waits and sees if that is a friendly stranger or not, then they can over-respond if, heaven forbid, there really is some kind of threat or something they have to overreact to because it's warranted. So we had a little technical difficulty. Jordan was drinking his coffee in a bizarre way, and I had to address that. So we're getting back to the podcast now. So we're talking about barking as one of the most common behavior problems. So yes, barking. There's a reason why dogs bark, but if it's an overexpression or it's a symptom of a greater problem that you're struggling with, it has to be addressed and not always corrected. I commented on something today and I brought up the word correction, and all of a sudden some foolish people, I'll call them, jump in and think I'm just a correction trainer. No, you have to deal with why the dog does it, so you're minimally, if at all, correcting it, because the problem's not there in the first place if you create a balanced, structured, fulfilling relationship with your dog and life for them to just get their needs met so they can feel at peace, content, and just relax, right, in a calm state, even when there's new stimuli going on, so they can handle it in an appropriate way. Meaning, well, I'm so balanced, my owners lead me, I've got my life all covered. I don't have to feel responsible for the next friendly guest that comes to the door, or the next package delivered. I can bark once, but then, like I said earlier, wait and see what happens as far as my response. And we live in a civil world. Most responses are going to be like, oh, hey, it's a friendly stranger, and then just teach your dog to chill a little so they don't jump all over them and get too excited, right? That's all it comes down to. So, what I'm already seeing here, because I told you I haven't looked at this website prior to this podcast. We pulled up this page. They don't really give much detail in the response. It's kind of short. I think they use it more to get like clicks because it's they use keywords here. But nonetheless, I think it's good to talk about the root cause. But then when they talk about the root cause, they tell you to be consistent and patient. Okay, but they don't tell you what that means, like as far as how to implement that in the training. And they say also consider teaching the bark quiet commands. Now, again, you can do it sometimes, like quiet, like your dog's at the fence, like stop, get. It's like just a general command, like get quiet. But if it's like, it's a habit, it's a problem, you cannot wait for a problem to arise and stop it. It's like asking an alcoholic to take the drink and then stop drinking. They're never going to get through the habit day after day. It's going to manifest. They have to learn zero tolerance on this. No barking when it's not appropriate, or we get you back to the place where that no barking can lead to appropriate barking like I was talking about earlier. So, yes, there's a bark quiet command. I mean, you can even, do it for a show. Look, my dog barks on command and is quiet on command. But if it's reacting to external stimuli, it's because they're getting overstimulated. They're feeling over-responsible, insecure about that proposition. Nobody's creating a life that would make them not over-respond, and then it becomes a habit because that's the norm. So you have to create a new habit while working on the root cause of it. Pardon me while I scratch my back. Okay, so let's talk about chewing. Number 2. Chewing is a natural. I shouldn't out the other website, right? I'm not saying it's bad advice. I'm just saying you have to go more in depth. But this isn't a dog behavior website, so I think it's what they're doing is good enough. So still props to you. All right, chewing. Chewing is a natural action for all dogs. It's just a part of the way they are wired. However, chewing can quickly become a behavior problem if your dog causes destruction. Most common reasons dogs chew are as follows: teething, boredom and excess energy, anxiety, curiosity, especially puppies. Teething and teething usually they're not going to be biting people, their clothing, items of control like leashes, collars, harnesses, cages, crates, things like that. It's going to be they're just randomly chewing on items, good or bad. And even then, dogs and puppies have a pretty high pain threshold. Teething isn't as great an issue as people think. It's usually targeting movement. They want to start controlling and tracking it, or playing and interacting with humans as equals, which no dog, especially if you live with children or you have a powerful breed, from day one should ever be excused for putting their mouth on a human or any item connected to them. You're not punishing the dog, but you need to discourage that, whether through redirection in younger dogs or, yes, the big C word, correcting them when they're older and they're still feeling that that's appropriate, because that is not acceptable. And even in nature, behaviors that are unacceptable get corrected, brief to the point, with no personal, attachments connected to it. It's just business. Okay, so let's talk about their response. Encourage the dog to chew on the right things by providing plenty of chew toys. Keep personal items away from your dog. when you're not home, keep your dog crated or confined to an area with less destruction because, well, yeah, for puppies that can be applicable. You don't want to give too many toys because then they get overstimulated by so many options. You want to, with a very young dog, even with bitter apple spray, you could correct it or you could lead them away from what they're not supposed to chew, especially if it's not directed towards people, and then keep rewarding them when they chew their toy or their bone or whatever it is. If it's more like, hey, every time, and this is getting back to even the first question with the barking issue, if we get back to, oh, well, my dog's chewing on my hands because every time I come home or play with it, it gets so excited, it just revs it up to the point where it's like, well, let's cut it off before they get revved up. Or if every time it's just naturally creating that automatic response where they start biting and getting overstimulated, put them in command. Do some decompression training where they can be calm, focused for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Then they get some attention. And then even then you have to balance it out where you get a little attention, a little balanced training, especially with the younger dogs, so they can learn how to balance and modulate their own energy levels so we don't have to train them for as a lifelong thing because we're consistent and we can be a little less self-indulgent, which is what this all comes down to. Okay, I see the cute puppy. The puppy loves me, but I also have to understand my puppy can't handle that overindulgence because I'm just sensory-wise revving it up. If I put gasoline on a small fire, it's going to grow bigger. That's just how it works. It's nature, instinct, whatever you want to see it as. That's what happens with certain dogs. So we have to say, well, why is the dog mouthing? It's not, we make excuses. So everyone says teething. Puppy. We have to get through what our emotions tell us and excuse it to be. And we're not punishing. We guess that's nature. Okay, dog, this is how it works with dogs like this. Well, let's address it so the dog can be conditioned to a better response and instinctively feel that we're not indulging in a way that direction we're teaching them to go in, it makes the most sense in the first place because we're having a healthy, balanced, well-led relationship with our pets. Dogs, puppies, older dogs, problem behaviors are good dogs alike. Okay, so, so then like here, like they get more into like if you catch a dog with the wrong item, correct. They use the C word. Oh my God, this is going to be like put on the deep dark web now because they talk about correcting a dog. They say correct with a sharp noise because it's politically correct. You can use a collar if you're not hurting the dog. But a sharp noise, like nothing to scare them. You don't want to freak their startle response out, especially if they're very sensitive dogs. It's just going to cloud them. They're going to run away. You want them to be like, oh, I don't chew this. I chew that. Very simple. It's very just clear, consistent message. Everyone in their life should do it, and then they get the point. And if your dog is excessively chewing, there's usually a problem related to it. I have plenty more podcasts and media on this, so dig in, no pun intended on what number 3 is, but you'll find a lot more info on any of these specific topics I'm talking about based on my podcast, my YouTube videos, and then, of course, my show, The Untrainables. All right, moving on, we're going to talk about digging. Hey, so if given the chance, most dogs will do some amount of digging. It's a matter of instinct. Certain breeds like terriers are more prone to digging because of their hunting histories. In general, most dogs dig for these reasons: boredom or excessive energy, anxiety or fear, hunting instinct, comfort seeking such as nesting or cooling off, hiding possessions like bones or toys, and to escape or gain access. So you see, a lot of these are for, it's reasonable reasons. And I would say you give your dog an outlet, let him go dig in the sand somewhere. Let him dig in a place that's not your yard, right? So, and if it's like your dog's just digging to make a little bed, as long as it's not destroying something, or they'll dig in their own bed, just to kind of pretend they're making a nest, or they're digging like your dog's a little terrier and wants to dig out something to hunt and it's healthy and safe, fine. If your dog's digging out of anxiety or fear, trying to escape, like anything, you have to say, why is that happening? Or is my yard giving them a message where escaping makes sense? Or is my dog so hell-bent on getting at something on the other side because they're not at peace with the life we provide for them in the right kind of relationship? Is that why they're acting out, right? So you have to look again at the root cause. And hiding, again, you have to just see what is the value of my yard versus my dog. If my dog's doing excessively, how do I tone it down or say it's not an appropriate behavior we should have as part of their life? So we say if dogs dig up your yard, it can get frustrating. They try to determine the cause of digging, eliminate the source, spend more time with your dog, give them more exercise, very valid point, work on extra training. A lot of dogs have mental, they need mental exercise I talk about often where it's like they have just all these thoughts and they just need to think and focus and feel, okay, I did something today. My mind is at ease. Then they can get the physical exercise to complement that, and then they're at peace, and they might not get digging as a problem to begin with. And, of course, you can correct it and treat it. Some dogs are sneaky, and they know they can get away with behaviors like stealing or digging when we're not watching them. So things like, deterrents that they sell, it's like devices, scat mats, little spray things, horns. E-collar training is good for that if you've already taken care of the basics and your dog just needs a little refinement. With everything's good, your dog's balanced, but that's just like a behavior pattern that they just can't let go of. So we can, deal with that too. And you're not shocking a dog to death, believe it or not, using very low level stimuli. Most humans wouldn't even feel it, but the dog understands that if, I do this, and if it's timed right, the association is it doesn't work, So that's a whole nother, I can get into a whole podcast about that kind of stuff, but just to touch on these things, because some people don't want to get into the tools. They just want to give you like a general, they'll say, make a noise. Well, it might work for some dogs, but a lot of dogs are like, I don't care about the noise. I want to get at what I'm trying to dig through the fence to get to, or whatever the case may be, or dealing with my unresolved issues. Okay, separation anxiety. Well, I've done a lot of podcasts about this. I've done a lot of, I see clients like this. God, probably almost half my cases a week have this issue. I'll get more into it. We'll do more shows about this, but for now, we'll read what they have to say. Okay, separation anxiety is one of the most commonly discussed dog behavior problems. Manifestations include vocalization, chewing, inappropriate urination and defecation, and other forms of destruction that occur when a home is separated from his owner. Not all these actions are the result of anxiety. Signs of true anxiety include dog becoming anxious when the owner prepares to leave. Misbehavior occurs in the first 15 to 45 minutes. Dog wants to follow the owner around constantly. That's a huge, especially if it's generalized, not just on departure and arrival. And the dog needs to be touching the owner whenever possible. You need to create separation anxiety. Good observation, Spruce Pets. You need to do that place training. I show in almost everything I do video-wise. Get your dog to let go and put in the time to get him to decompress in their place, in a crate, create separation time and the right kind of relationship. Do not reward this behavior. Do not have the emotions driving it, because a lot of people who are over-emotional, I find a pattern, great levels of separation anxiety, because it's almost projecting this thing onto the dog. The dog needs structure. The dog needs to be able to separate the proximity. Even dogs rushing towards anything new out of excitement. I see somebody or something I like, I run to it and everyone rewards me for it. No, they have to fall back and wait patiently, and then it's on the human's terms, because they cannot handle that cling to everything moving around them. And then when the humans are gone, they can't keep their ducks in a row. They think they're going to die until the humans come back, because they feel that when the humans are around, their daily needs get met. The humans and them alike stay alive by constantly clinging to and keeping track of and hinging on all the activity and anticipating life around them. So it has to be the opposite for anxiety to be taken care of. I think I answered that already, but that kind of led me into it, because I love that. I love when people, see, I'm giving you good credit, guys, because this is really it. When they start talking about the root cause, not, your dog misses you, your dog needs to get used to being alone. Yeah, with little puppies, you can't leave them alone too long, but with an adult dog, it's like, look, your needs are met. You can be fine 4 or 6 hours. No one's going to quit their job to work on their dog's separation anxiety. And I think that impractical advice makes people not want to work on the reason why their dog has separation anxiety and have their dog deal with life on life's terms like humans have to as well. Let's see. Okay, let's just move on here, because we'll be here forever. Okay, inappropriate elimination. I've done plenty of housebreaking topics. Inappropriate urination and defecation are among the most frustrating dog behaviors. They can damage areas of the home, make your dog unwelcome in public spaces or at the homes of others. It's most important, and sorry guys, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm trying to focus on this and talk to the same time. I know people have complained, don't look at the camera. Well, okay, do a show too. But anyway, I'm doing my best. Hopefully you understand. Okay, it's most important to discuss this behavior. You rule out medical problems. Yes, you always rule that out, because sometimes you can't fight against something that you have to fix medically, right? That's ruled out now, and you make sure that it's proper nutrition, not drinking too much water. All that's good to go, then you can focus on the behaviors, right? Even with a young dog, you want to rule all that out. So that's what it says. Just rule that out, and then if no medical cause, try to determine the reason, and it comes down to one of the following. It could be excitement urination. Yes, dogs get so overstimulated. I even have dogs that'll pee in their crate, and everyone knows most dogs by instinct do not go to the bathroom in a small space unless it's under extreme circumstances. They've been pushed past their potty threshold limit. The dogs that are getting too excited, like the separation anxiety thing, by what's going on around them in the outside environment in the house, you get dogs that will get too excited. When they greet people, people get them excited. Instead of teaching them to be calmer, to get attention, they just can't hold their bladder. It's too much for them, too excitement. Territorial marking, yes, that's also comes from a dog that could be acting too dominant, agenda-minded, feeling it like, well, if there's some loss of control, the symbolism of peeing in the house gets control back, or marking too excessively even out on walks. attention seeking. Yeah, some people, when they punish their dogs too much or make like, oh my God, Sparky pissed and shit now, it becomes like, oh, that's a way to get attention. Kids do that too. Positive or negative, it gets a rise out of the parent and some kind of attention. And lack of proper housebreaking. That's a biggie. I struggled with that with Minnie, is that she wasn't properly potty trained when she was a puppy. And you need from day one to teach a dog, you go outside, not on wee-wee pads, not in a playpen, not go out every hour. You go out on a schedule as your age and abilities develop, as a puppy grows and becomes an adult dog. And we had a long journey with that one. Still, sometimes we have a little moment because you have to get this taught properly. Otherwise, and we improved to her 90% or more with her potty, but it's not 100% like Mr. Boo, who I had from day one. He never peed in the house because I never let it. Okay. Begging. Begging is just a dog. I'm just going to blow through some of these because I think they're not, begging is pretty simple. Teach your dog not to beg. Don't feed him from the table. Don't just ignore him, but say, hey, you want to hang out while we're eating? You're, 8 feet over there in your place and you wait there and then you eat after us and you learn to be calm. And yes, during meals, you're going to have to stop what you're doing and bring your dog back so they learn that this doesn't happen anymore. And then if you can't do it, you put them away. So every experience around food is now this new one, and that prevents the begging. Teaches them a better habit. It doesn't prevent it. Actually fixes the issue and makes them learn how to do something different to replace it. And you can reward it and all that too. But the reward of just not having to worry about getting food and accepting like, all right, it doesn't happen. That's more at peace than them, oh, I didn't get my food. You're going to eat later, just not my food, okay? Simple. And it's funny. I'm reading here and they teach the same thing. I'm not even going to read it. They gave the same exact advice I did, just maybe not as detailed because we're just going through it's a website here. But good job, guys, again. Look, there's a lot of good trainers. I'm not the guy who has it all figured out. There's just a lot of crappy trainers, and their advice they speak so strongly about, we have to counter it with sound, practical, rational dog advice and approaches to training them, right? Okay. Chasing. Dogs' desire to chase moving things is simply a predatory instinct, display of predatory instinct. Many dogs will chase other animals, people, and cars. All of these can lead to dangerous and devastating outcomes. While you may not be able to stop your dog from trying to chase, you can take steps to prevent disaster. Yes, so you want to teach your dog, because that's the thing. People say, I want my dog to come when they run after a squirrel. Yeah, but if your dog runs after squirrels, you got to teach him to curb those impulses to some degree. Then we can complement it with a good recall. So keep your dog on a leash at all times, unless directly supervised indoors, or you're in a fenced area or a safe area where the dogs can be off-leash playing. But I do agree, dogs should be on leash in public and in areas where it's designated. Train your dog to come when called. Sure, I have podcasts and videos showing this, talking about it, demonstrating it. If you want to learn more, and there's plenty of good info on the internet as well. The interweb. Have a dog whistle or noisemaker on hand to get your dog's attention. I guess, but a good come command, like a good sound or a come recall here, whatever, works fine. Stay aware and watch for potential triggers like joggers. Sure, and that comes back to impulse control. If every time your dog sees a jogger, lunges or wants to chase him, even on a leash, you got to teach him to sit calmly and counter condition a new response, and then you reward it, give it a tasty treat, and then you go on from there, But you have to be very consistent. If the habit's formed, you got to be pretty diligent for a couple months at least and create the right relationship so your dog even knows why you're asking him to sit when there's a jogger around, because they don't trust commands if your dog's running the show at home. Jumping up. Same thing as anything else. Dogs too excited. Even people that pet their dogs for getting in there and nudging and crowding them, it's going to lead to jumping. Dogs feel like as if a magnet's approaching them, especially when something exciting or overstimulating is in front of them, and they feel drawn to it. It's like a hunting instinct, but they pull in towards people, and then jumping becomes an issue, and some of these people reward it, so why wouldn't they keep doing it, right? Our excitement. That's why we have to not just ignore it or react to it. I'm reading here, there's nothing about like lifting in the and all that stuff, but I don't agree with that. I believe it's better to prevent it. Oh, people are coming over, have my dog calm in the first place. Lead them to the door with a leash, make them sit. Tell my guests to ignore the dog while we lead everyone in and have the dog place next to the guest. Have the dog be calm for 15, whatever it takes your dog to be calm, then we can start giving them small doses of attention and they can handle it. And you just went through the whole scenario preemptively without getting them to jump in the first place. And even if they do jump, you go, well, now sit or go to your place to just immediately respond. But just correcting it or turning your back, it really just shows submission or lets it accomplish itself. And it says some dogs will do it for dominance reason. Yeah, some dogs will even like hump, to control your movement, like the way dogs will mouth when we're moving. and you have to see why is a dog so comfortable doing that to people, but also find and pinpoint the times when it happens and teach your dog to not have it happen in the first place. Okay, get almost there. I got 2 more, guys. Biting. Real biting, right? Like reactivity, even aggression, which I see as 2 different categories, but we'll lump them in for these purposes. Dogs bite for reasons that can be traced back to instinct and pack mentality. Puppies bite and nip on other dogs or the people as a means for exploring their environment and learning their place in the pack. Also to herd and control movement and to control overstimulated things in front of them, people, dogs, movement, to make them not feel overstimulated by controlling it, right, proactively. It makes me feel excited, overstimulated, I'm going to control it or make it get further from me to create space so I don't have to deal with it anymore. What do you think leash reactivities? They feel stuck on a leash. That dog shows up. They feel insecure. They got a high charge, a high state of alert. I react. That makes it go away. That high state of alert dissipates. That's how I handle it to stay alive. That's a dog's perception. They'll keep doing it. All right, let's just keep going here. Aggression. Ta-da! That's the biggie. Aggression is something that is, it says, what rule out trainer behaviorists, blah, blah, blah. Let me just take the time to read this. We're almost done. Dog aggression is exhibited by growling, snarling, showing teeth, lunging, and biting. It is important to know that any dog has the potential to become aggressive regardless of breed or history. However, dogs with violent or abusive histories and those bred from dogs with aggressive tendencies are much more likely to exhibit aggressive behavior towards people or other dogs. Not always the case. A lot of dogs can become aggressive because they're put in a position to feel so frustrated with the over-empowerment or responsibilities humans are giving them and treating like babies and not creating rules, or humans not taking the time to give them the right outlets, that they become aggressive out of frustration and that deep insecurity that everyday life is so their responsibility that they have to feel that they're responsible to the death and overprotecting themselves, their dogs, and worrying about needs that we're providing for them that they feel they have to be hyper-vigilant and responsible for in our presence. So that's a big reason why dogs are aggressive. We just don't want to address the relationship end of it. So it says reason for aggression are basically the same as the reason a dog will bite or snap. But then you have reactivity, so you want to get a little bit more into the specifics because it's, believe me, if you've been bitten by dogs with both issues, it's different. And it's a different protocol, a different level of severity, to be quite honest with you. So here's what I was saying earlier. If your dog has aggressive tendencies, consult your vet first, as it may stem from a health problem. Yes, always rule out medical, physical, neurological. In pit bull breeds and others, there's like a thyroid level you want to get checked, make sure that's balanced. Because you can't fight against nature. There's certain things that could be driven more biologically than behaviorally. But you have to be serious with aggressive dogs. You have to work diligently hard, because if you felt life and death was at stake by the way you act to keep yourself and those you love around you alive, you're going to have a hard time being convinced otherwise until that other person shows a very sure-footed way to navigate life and take you along for the ride to help get your needs met. Okay, so I hope that made sense. That was a little bit of a, I haven't really done one that. I used to do years ago a show that we would do things like that. So thank you for giving that, the fodder for these dog training tips and some Q&A. Now for you, what I didn't mention is the listener, please send me your personal questions. I like to get more specific and answer your individuals because I want to help you guys. So send them out, send videos, post them online. You can send even my Facebook is a great place that you can message me. It's facebook.com/The Dog Savant. And you can look up Brett Endy's Dog Trainers, my page as well. And you can go on my website. Just any way to contact me, let me know I can help you. Thanks again for watching the show, listening to the podcast. Share it with everybody. And get out there with your dog. Love your dog. Lead your dog. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.